In this lecture, we're going to work on enhancing the video game by adding a way to share on social media, especially Twitter. Alright, so the first thing we gotta do is get inside of Unity and add the share button. Now, if I press play right now, what we see is the play button. And we also want the share button. So let's go ahead and add the share button. How do we do this? Well, if you take a look inside of the assets, there is a menus folder, and inside of this there's a bunch of different buttons that I've already put for you here, and the one you want to look for is the button Twitter, and we're just going to drag and drop this button inside of a button user interface element. So let's add this button item. Go to the canvas. Inside of the main panel we already have the button play. So what I'm going to do is add a new button. So I'm going to right click and add the new button. But the easiest way is to take the button play and duplicate it. So I'm going to right click and duplicate the button play and name it button Twitter. And what I'm going to do next is work on its position. And I want it to be centered, but go to the right side of the play button. So I'm going to move the X position. And as you can see, as I'm moving it, I can see it moving away from the play button. That's another play button, but I'll have to change the source image. I'm going to click on the source image and locate the button Twitter. Here it is, and now I can actually see the button Twitter. I'm going to put it down a little bit and make it smaller. Instead on 150 times 150, I'm going to take it and be 100 by 100. And move it down this time by the position Y. Alright, and this will do. Now, if I press play, I will be able to see the Twitter button. Here it is. Now, something that you may have noticed, there isn't much happening. If I click on it, it goes straight and stops. So that's not what we want. We don't want the button Twitter to do that. We want it to tweet. So we need to create the tweeting method. Let's go ahead and do this. And if you take a look at it right now, it calls the manager references pressed play button. So we need to create a new one. So I'm going to open the manager references script with this monoscript. So I'm going to double click on it. And here we are, manager references. And I can locate the play button. So pressed play, just locate the pressed play. Here it is. And right below, let's create the new method. Public void pressed Twitter button. And the logic that we're going to put here is the logic to tweet. So first of all, if we want to tweet, we can use an SDK. There is a Unity SDK for Twitter. It's a plugin, but we don't really want, or we don't really have to use that actually with Twitter. It's simple enough to just go to a specific URL, a specific address to tweet with the message that we want to tweet. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and work on this. So let's add the tweet string. So let's go up and add the string that we want to tweet. So right below the +1 score, I'm going to say public string and then what the string is. So I'm going to call this one name parameter. Okay, and let's put a default value is equal to check out or check this amazing game. And then let's put let's close that. So that's the first name parameter. Then we need a Twitter URL. So the Twitter address, we can make it private. Private. That's a constant string. And the name of the string, let's call it Twitter address. Twitter address. And the address for Twitter is equal to, that's twitter.com intent tweet. So that's http www.twitter. Actually, there's no need to have a W here if I remember. twitter.com/intent/tweet, because the intent is to tweet. All right, so that's the URL of the address. And then we need the language, private. That's a constant as well. That's a string. And let's call it Twitter language. Twitter underscore language is equal to, that would be English. Now, if yours is not English, make sure you change it here. And then let's put a description for the parameter. That would be public. I'm going to put the description right above, public string. That would be, let's call it description param. Or yeah, I don't like the name parameter. I'm going to call this one Twitter name parameter, and then Twitter description param. And let's put it empty for now for the description, and put a semicolon here. I was forgetting a semicolon after the Twitter language. And what we also can use here is the App Store link. So now we need to get the App Store link. So let's actually put the App Store link above that. Public string. Let's call it App Store link. Now there might be there might be one for Android and one for iOS. So let's add one for iOS and one for Android. So this one will be iOS. And then we need the one for Android. So right now I'm going to just put it empty, and let's copy this and put one for Android. .Android. All right. And now we need to find the App Store links. How do you get the link for iOS and the link for Android? Well, let's go ahead and go to the web browser, and let's go to iTunes Connect. I'm going to click on My Apps. And now I'm going to click on the Halloween color shift. Or I could click on any other app. That's not a problem. And what you can see is that when it's ready for sale, when it's about to get to the App Store, you can go in the app information and you will see this link, View on App Store. Don't click on it, just right click on it. Right click and do Copy Link Address. Now that I have the link, I can just go back to MonoDevelop and paste it for the iOS one. All right. Now it's a little bit more complicated for Android because you can only see it whenever you start publishing your app. So if I go to my store listing on Android, I don't see it. It's supposed to be right there, right next to it, and I do not see it because it's in draft mode. So what you have to do is start publishing and do an update. That would be one way of doing it. And let's say this game that's live in the App Store, I can click on it, and I see that I can have View in Play Store. So there is a link right there. So one good trick is to right click on this and do Copy Link Address. So if you already have an app, you can already figure out what will be the name of your app by copying this. Then go back to MonoDevelop and paste it here. And as you can see, it's using your ID of the app. So you'll have to remove this part of the ID and just change that. That's the only part that you need to change. Now you're going to ask me, what is this? Well, that's the unique name of the app. So you can find that. Where do you find this? If you go back to Android, you will find this. So let me show you in the app that I'm about to publish, the color switch clone. You can get this inside, right below the name. It's the unique identifier right here. So you can right click on it and copy this. Copy, and then go back to MonoDevelop and paste it there. So I'm back in MonoDevelop, and I'm going to paste it right after the ID. And that's it. Now I have the exact URL. All right. So I'm going to save this and work on the Twitter logic whenever we press the button. But before I do so, I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go back to actually link the button and with the press. So going back to Unity, I'm going to press that button by selecting the button Twitter. And once I have the button selected, I'm going to select this one, the press play button, and instead of the play button, it will be manager reference, pressed Twitter button. Right there. All right. Good. Selected. Cool. Now, my next step is to save that, go back to MonoDevelop, and work on the logic of the Twitter. So, right here, if you take a look at the pressed Twitter, so let me look for Twitter. All right. Right here, press Twitter button. Let's work on the logic. What we want to do is open the application URL. So application.open URL, so that we go to the web, and the URL is the Twitter address plus the \n. Actually, no, plus the text. So the text would be, because we're basically reconstructing the URL. So it will be text is equal to, and now we say plus, and we put the text by putting www.escape URL, so that it takes a string as an escaped string that works for the internet. And here the Twitter name parameter. Okay, I see that I have an error. It's not parameter. I'm missing an E, so I'm going to add it here, and I'm going to add it back all the way up top. Twitter name parameter. All right. Cool. All right, so I'm escaping this. Plus, we need a new line, so \n. All right. Plus Twitter description. So now I'm going to press enter so that you guys can see this, and write Twitter description param plus, again, new line, that's \n, plus, now we're going to say the actual way to get the App Store link. So, and now to paste the link would be the App Store URL, right? So I can just put App Store link. Now we have two links, iOS and Android. So before even knowing which one we want, we'll have to see which game we are playing right now. All right. So actually, if it's just a share, you can put the iOS one or the Android one, or you can put both. So you can do link for the App Store link plus. Now I'm going to put just a space here plus the App Store link for iOS. All right. And now we can close the whole thing. I know it seems to be a lot, but that's the way it is. I can close that and put a semicolon at the end. All right, so now we have the URL to open. I'm going to save that. And we could try this out, actually. It seems that I have an error. It's complaining here that I have an error. Let's see. Oh, yes, I'm missing to close one more. All right, so now we're good. I'm going to save that. And now I can go back to Unity. And I can give it a shot by trying and clicking the Twitter button. So I can press play and click on the Twitter button now. So let's go ahead and click on the Twitter button, and boom, it went straight to Twitter, ready to submit. Now I may have too much space. I may want to remove an extra space. Easy to do. We can remove this new line by going to MonoDevelop and removing this new line here. All right, so it's up to you at this point. I can just put a space instead. All right, and here too I can put a space. Okay, cool. So that's it. That's the best way to share on Twitter.